been too good, too often.
Oh, it's out to this well.
How's that for quality on clay?
All right, we're in person.
Yeah, we finally met.
Yeah, it's much better. I'm so sick of Zoom, and it's the Sasa and Stephen Show back on the slice. And you're gonna have to take our word for it, but we are at Roland Garros.
Yes, you could probably hear the applause at some point if Rublev plays a great point because he's the closest one to us right now. But
Yeah,
we are there. We are in Rue Claude Monet.
yeah, very French, very mon français n'est pas très bon. Do you know any French?
No, s'il vous plaît, merci, pain au chocolat, and that's it.
That's all you need. That's all you need. But yeah, we're obviously on the grounds of a very big tournament mainly for Nadal, Djokovic, Alcaraz, Tsitsipas, who are the kind of the top four seeds. So far, just from you, obviously, you know, Serbian, you've covered Djokovic your whole career. How have you seen Djokovic's form here? Obviously, he won Rome last week, so he's peaking maybe at the best time.
Yeah, I think for both him and Nadal, you can't really say much at this point because their opponents in first 3 rounds did not give any resistance. So I feel that the first real tests are actually coming up, and then we could tell maybe a bit more with Schwartzman and Felix Auger-Aliassime. But these first 3 rounds tell us literally nothing about their level, about their physical state, because they weren't pushed at all.
Yeah.
At all. Sometimes it felt like they were trying to, you know, artificially produce it, like Djokovic with Nishioka and
Breaks
Nadal
himself.
a bit, yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly, to at least have a taste of something like that. But
Yeah.
I think these next 2 opponents are really, one opponent for both of them, are really going to be a huge test.
Yes, and that's kind of what I want to talk about in this video. So we're going to break down the 4th round matchups for Djokovic and Nadal, and then we'll assume that they make it through that, and then we'll kind of preview where their matchup is at in the stage of their career. So Djokovic has Schwartzman next. I think you told me before, 6-0 head-to-head record. Makes total sense.
6-0, but he knew how to agitate Novak, and he knew how to, let's say, tire him out a bit. If you remember a few years ago in Rome, I think it was 2019, they played a tough 3-setter, and it ended up like after midnight 1 in the morning, and Novak couldn't do anything the next day. In the finals, actually, they played a really long match here as well.
Right.
So it is 6-love, but I feel that Schwartzman can make life miserable for Djokovic at times. I don't think that he can win, but at least one set. And even though Diego hasn't been himself really this spring, he lost to some players easily that he wouldn't lose to if everything was okay. For example, Giron. But still, this is his home. I mean, he played semis here. He played quarters here in other times. So, and I think that Djokovic is hoping for a day match.
Okay.
Because he would love faster conditions against Diego.
Yeah.
When it's night versus Diego, we saw it in Rome. It's really hard to penetrate.
Yeah.
Really hard to push through. And sometimes when he's not, if Djokovic is feeling the ball, if he's playing great, then we don't have anything to talk about. But if his confidence is not at the highest level, if he can't penetrate that easily, if he needs to, I don't know, not hit the ball as strongly or not look for corners as diligently as he usually does, then he might have a bit of a problem.
Right, and I've noticed in the past, like, players like Schwartzman or like, you know, Djokovic doesn't really struggle with the big hitters as much. I don't think his big losses have come to guys like that, whereas Nadal maybe more.
No, Nadal is killing them even more.
Well, I mean, like not like Karlovic. I'm talking about like Soderling and like the guys who can really hit the ball and then follow it up, who can actually play. No offense, Karlovic, but like there's guys like Schwartzman or guys like even like Roberto Bautista Agut who have proven problems for Djokovic in the past because they kind of almost can do the similar things, like frustrate opponents, get everything back. Do you feel Djokovic's physicality, because in Serbia, where you were probably there, he gassed out against Rublev in a tough 3-setter. Do you think if Schwartzman wins one of the first 2 sets here and it gets really, really physical, like 3-4 hours, that could be an issue? Because Djokovic has not played a match that long against a top opponent and won this year.
I don't think so, because he was ill before Monte Carlo. For 5 days he had a fever like 39.5 degrees, so he was totally gassed out in Monte Carlo, and he was still coming back from everything that has happened in Australia, I mean mentally. And in Serbia it was better with each match. Then he reached that block energy-wise playing Rublev. But in Madrid, he played for 3 hours against Alcaraz.
Yeah.
Could have won easily. But more important thing is that he said that the next day he felt like he could have gone all over again.
Okay.
He was good. So I don't think physically. I think physically Djokovic is fine now.
Okay, that's good. Because that's what we want to see. We want to see these guys at their best level, like Nadal. We want to see him at his physical level, not worrying about issues, right? Yeah. So Nadal now next is playing Felix Auger-Aliassime, Canadian, our guy, and Felix pushed Novak quite hard in Rome, right?
That was the best match of the tournament, in my opinion.
Likewise,
it was 2 sets. It was 2 sets, but Felix could have easily won both of them. So
high level, super Felix is one of the guys that might be at this stage in his career more athletic than Novak. He's like long, stretching, and they had, I thought, great rallies and stuff like that. How do you see? I don't even think they've played before ever, Nadal and Felix.
I'm not sure.
Or they haven't played, at least when Tony Nadal has been working with.
They haven't, but I think they
Felix.
played before. I think they've played before, but
maybe earlier.
Not on clay. I'm sure not on clay.
And not while Felix is now in the top 10. What do you see that matchup? Is there with Felix's serve and forehand? Is there risk for Nadal?
I mean, it depends on Felix. What kind of match are we going to see? I mean, I'm not the smartest guy in the room if I say it depends a lot on his first serve percentage. Because if he gets shorter balls, if he gets a lot of free points, then he can, play maybe with less pressure. And from what I've seen with him so far, yesterday he's beaten my countryman Krajinovic in 3 sets, and Filip played a really great match. And I think it says a lot because Felix was, except for one brief lapse, he was really focused, and he was really. And I was in his presser actually. And he said something which I feel everyone who has been watching him has noticed, that he's getting more and more controlled with his aggression. This is something Djokovic usually tells when he talks about tactics, that he needs to be aggressive but controlled. And I think Felix is starting to master that a bit, because he could, if you watch him 2 years ago, there is like 3 brilliant points, and then he hits the ball in the fence 2 times.
Yeah.
I think that's more calm now, and he actually gave credit to Tony Nadal because of that. I'm not sure what to think about Tony Nadal not being in his box. What do you think? I mean, it's
interesting because I heard Nadal and Felix talk about it, and they both said, Tony told us right from the beginning he'll sit, watch on TV or something. I guess it makes sense, I guess, because they got the family connection. But
you're his coach.
You would kind of think that you could put it beside the family connection and be like, hey, we'll see you after. Like, we've won 21 slams together. Like Felix said.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
Felix said basically, even if I beat Nadal tomorrow, like, it won't mean anything for his career. I mean, it might for the history books, but really they've done so much together. But yeah, I guess that's just their choice. Tony Nadal is going to kind of stay out of it, but and I think that and Felix said there's no real secrets to Tony Nadal is not going to tell me any secrets on how to beat Nadal. I know it's going to be tough.
Yeah, we all know it in theory what you need to do, but the big question is if he can deliver. I really think he needs to be. What I said earlier, he needs to go to the net, for example, but he can't overdo it.
Yes, go to that smart.
It's really that's why it's so hard to beat Nadal, because all things you need to do, there is always a thin balance, and you need to decision making. I don't know if you've ever played Football Manager. You haven't?
No.
But you need to have decisions is one of the most important characteristics, and he needs to have that on the maximum.
Do you think, I think, because there's a question mark around Nadal, right, with his foot. So if Felix comes out and wins the first set, or wins the second set, I'm not as confident in Nadal being able to come back from 2 sets or 1 set down as I am with Djokovic. Like, if Djokovic loses the first 2 sets to Schwartzman, I still feel like Djokovic is going to win.
I feel it's futile to have this kind of discussion because we never know. Obviously, Nadal said that he's feeling fine now. That foot and that condition he has on his foot can obviously flare up at any point, but it can be in the second set. It can be, of course, when there is a larger task, when they play more, of course, it's more likely for the problems to reappear. But it's not something we can take into equation speaking before the match.
Yeah, we just don't know.
We'll see. We'll see. I feel Rafa is going to be fine.
I feel like he will. He always is fine at Roland Garros. Yeah. It seems. Well, not always, but. So let's just pretend now we're doing hypotheticals. We'll re-put this video. Djokovic and Nadal both get through with no real big issues. Not one of the matches goes 6 hours and they're destroyed. They're coming in to play in the quarterfinal. How do you see that matchup now compared to maybe last year when they played in semifinal, or is that quarterfinal as well?
No, semi.
Semifinal. Where do you see their matchup now, and who's the favorite?
I know this is a cliche, but really every match is a new story. Because if we had this chat last year, and if someone was making conclusions based on the 2020 final, what did they say? I mean, Nadal destroyed Novak, and then Novak came back, and after being 5-0 down in the first set. So these two guys, they're just giants in every sense a tennis player can be. So physically, mentally, technically, of course. So there is no real secrets. I mean, what troubled Nadal throughout his career against Djokovic is that Djokovic can hit those spins on the rise, you know, with his backhand. And I remember the first time Djokovic started to beat him on clay in 2011 when he's beaten him twice in the space of 7 days in Madrid and Rome. That was the key shot. You know, just he was able to penetrate through Nadal backhand to forehand, which is I don't think anyone was able to do consistently. There are some guys like Goffin, we've seen him play a great match against Nadal in Madrid, that are able to do that maybe on some basis, but not as consistently as Novak. But of course they have changed as players. Both from that time, but it's still more or less the same, and it's going to be really interesting in case it gets to that match. When is it going to be played? Because Novak, I think, said on French TV yesterday, he was smiling and said, obviously Rafa and we're going to have different requests to organizers. So we'll see.
So Rafa would want to play during the day, Rafa at night, or Novak at night.
Especially if it's sunny, the ball bounces higher, takes a lot more spin if it's the evening. But again, you know, 2013, it was sunny, it was hot, it was everything Nadal wanted, and Novak was still a break up in the fifth. And in 2020,
what happened?
it was cold. It was cold, and everyone thought Novak, this is his real chance. And then I mean,
it's a toss-up.
You never know with these guys.
One thing I think is so interesting is, you know, they're both older now, and since they played in 2011, like they've both got smarter. I think they both would rather end points quicker. Both serves have gotten a lot better. So I think it's interesting to see, like Novak, you'll see Novak throw in serve and volleys a lot more than he used to back then, but also Rafa will now. So both those guys are way smarter about tennis than me and you. So like it's really cool to watch their duels now. Like 2020, like Rafa came out and blitzed him, I thought, and he tried to start the same way in last year, and it was working. And then Novak, I felt, slowed it down into a physical battle, and I think Novak maybe just has more physically left now in those battles. What do you think?
Actually, Ivanišević told me that I was speaking to him, and he told me he prefers to play Rafa earlier because he feels in the finals that he's just invincible, just like Novak in Australia. So it's better to play him earlier. So that makes sense, but for my taste, quarters are a bit too early for all of us.
What do you say to the Rafa or Novak fans who are saying that the draw is rigged? You got the media credential.
I mean, if I had $1 every time someone said on social media that the draw is rigged, I'd have like $253.
But like, explain like how it can't be rigged, because you're there watching them literally pull it out of the hat.
I mean, obviously I can't know for sure, but it's not rigged.
Right, and
why would Roland Garros organizers rig the draw to have Djokovic versus Nadal in the quarters and Alcaraz in the semis?
On it's going to be like a Tuesday night, like it's not a marquee time. It probably will be during the night because it's on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's what some people are saying, but you cannot underestimate the power of Rafa in Paris.
Or the French organizers. No offense. Anyway, so I think, we have to wait and see. If it gets to that match, it's going to be an amazing match, well, hopefully. And we just got to see what happens, because there's no clear indicators of who's going to win. I think a lot of people have Novak as maybe more of the favorite to win the title because of the form coming in. But it's Rafa at Roland Garros, so you can't really overlook that.
And we have Alcaraz in the semis, whoever.
Who's going to beat either the winner. So it doesn't matter. No, he's, I don't know. Yeah, Rafa. Maybe last word on Alcaraz in the semis. When he played Novak and Rafa in Madrid, he had nothing to lose, right? So he beats them both. He flies around the court like a 19-year-old fairy, crushing winners. And then he almost loses to Ramos Vinolas because now he has a lot to lose. Is that the main difference?
Actually, my bold prediction before the tournament was that Alcaraz is not reaching the quarterfinals. And I had Ramos in mind because he's He's a savvy veteran. He played quarters here, and I knew that if Carlos gets nervous, he would have a chance, and he was literally a point away.
Yeah.
He got tight. He got tight in the end. But I think that when you're on the verge of a loss and you win, that takes some of the burden away. And I feel that, as we've seen yesterday against Korda, that Alcaraz is playing freely again. And the ideal scenario for him is he's reached the semis already, and he's watching Nadal and Djokovic battling it out for
5 hours,
8 hours, and he's sleeping. So we'll see. And we have Tsitsipas another half of the draw, but let's not go that far.
I said Tsitsipas looked at the draw and he says, I'll see you guys in the final. You have fun battling that out. But obviously he's got a long way to go as well. So that's kind of a midweek catch-up breakdown of all the information we have so far. Sasha, it's good to meet you in person finally.
Yeah, finally, I feel that this is a lot better than when we do it on Zoom. Even though we try to make it, as best possible, but this is a totally different story. And these mics are really cool, I have to say.
Yes, mics, they're making their way around the tour. Bianca Andreescu said they're innovative. What does Sasa Ozmo say?
I mean, they're just impressive. I know, I haven't seen anything like this before.
Like, people are investing all these dollars into their amazing setups inside, and then you just have to go break one of your rackets or two of your rackets.
Good job, Steven.
Anyways, okay, we'll see you guys here next time on The Slice. This has been Sasha and Steven, and may the best man win at Roland Garros.
He's playing collectively.
She's been too good, too often.
Oh, it's out to this world.
How's that for quality on play?